Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here for KREM 2 News First at 6. I'm Whitney Ward.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Regina on. Mark is off tonight. Well, it is a very hot night around the inland Northwest, and it's time to check in with Tom Sherry for his barbecue forecast tonight. So, Tom, what are you cooking up tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, we are going to do something easy, and I like the idea of barbecuing in incredible heat like this. Why? Because I don't like to heat up the house. If you're lucky enough to have AC, why make it work harder? And for many folks here in the inland Northwest, we don't have any air conditioning. So the last thing you want to do is heat up the kitchen, right? So we're doing something called beer bath brats right here. We're going to saute some onions, and we'll get all into it in just a little bit. But first, let's talk about the weather. We think we've already seen, they are unofficial right now, but we think we've already seen record highs in Ephrata, Wenatchee, and Omak as temperatures have soared well over 104 and 105 degrees in these places. So what you need to know to keep yourself safe, lots of water. That's an obvious one, but a lot of times what we do is forget to drink it. We wait till we're thirsty, and on this kind of heat, you cannot do that. Get into the air conditioning if you can. If you can't get into air conditioning, then get into the shade, and a fan would be great. And check on the elderly neighbors. Before COVID came around, I always encourage you to get a hold of your elderly neighbor if they didn't have air conditioning and bring them over to your house for a couple of hours. Give them a bit of a break. So try and do that. Be good to your pets as well. Obviously, they need lots of fresh water. They could use the cooler conditions as well, like the air conditioning. And boy, there's no longer are you taking any more walks in this kind of heat because the asphalt is just too darn hot for their poor little pads and paws. So please be very careful. So we've got the heat advisory in effect across eastern Washington and northern Idaho. The area you see shaded in orange, that's through Friday evening. It's going to get hot again tomorrow, maybe even hotter. An excessive heat warning in effect throughout much of central Washington and north central Washington. And then we've got actually, we're looking for dry lightning. So down into southeastern Washington, we've got a fire weather warning in effect there. 97 degrees right now. That's the current temperature. And again, we're looking for temps to be hot again tomorrow with a daytime high of 103. I'll check your weekend weather and your 10-day forecast coming up in a few minutes.
All right, sounds good, Tom. Thanks so much. Well, with temperatures expected to climb above 100 degrees in the Spokane area, residents are facing fewer options for places to beat the heat amid this COVID-19 pandemic. Well, the city of Spokane said cooling shelters are not an option this year due to the closures of libraries aimed at curbing the spread of the virus. Pools and splash pads are also closed due to the need to limit gatherings in Washington state. Outings to lakes and rivers are okay, of course, while observing that 6 feet of physical distancing and wearing a proper flotation device. New at 6 tonight, court documents filed earlier this month details research Lori Eisenberg did before her husband was found dead in Lake Coeur d'Alene in March of 2018. Now, documents claim Eisenberg took steps to kill her husband in Florida. She researched Florida water depths, currents, tides, boating accidents, and boat rentals. Prosecutors also claim Eisenberg poisoned her husband in Florida with the same substance she used to poison him before he went into Lake Coeur d'Alene. Lori Eisenberg is charged with first-degree murder in connection to her husband Larry Eisenberg's death. She has pleaded not guilty to those charges. Well, the University of Idaho says it plans to screen every single student returning to campus this fall for coronavirus, and the school will do that using its very own testing lab. And the university this week announced that it was continuing to move forward with plans for in-person classes on campus. KREM 2's Taylor Vito has more on U of I's lab and what their plan is to come.
These images posted to Facebook by the University of Idaho certainly don't seem like the normal kind of photos a school would share ahead of a new year, but amidst the coronavirus pandemic, it's all part of the new normal in Moscow.
We have put in place a lot of protocols, gone above and beyond what CDC is recommending.
The university this week doubled down on its plans to have students return to campus for the new school year. University President Scott Green, shown getting a test here, addressed campus in a letter about the fall reopening plan. Making in-person classes possible, U of I's own COVID-19 testing lab. The lab, which is being run in conjunction with Moscow's Gritman Medical Center, will process tests for every single student returning to campus, the university says. That's at least 24,000 tests, according to estimates. U of I says they're the only school in Idaho or the inland Northwest running their own lab. Other on-campus measures include taking temperature readings of people entering high-traffic buildings. The university argues that in-person classes are important because they're a statewide school with a residential campus for students.
So that looks a little different for us. We have an obligation to them to be able to deliver in that way. That's what they're paying for. That's what they expect.
Many classes will have some students attend in person on certain days and then learn online on others. But that's a noticeable difference from just over half a dozen miles away at Washington State University. Leaders there this month announced that it will only offer online learning this fall. The decision to have students return to campus in Moscow has drawn some criticism, including concerns from faculty members.
In the school's opinion, what makes Moscow and U of I different from Pullman and Wazoo in terms of how they're handling classes?
Absolutely. I think being able to do our own testing is a huge piece of that. We're going to be able to keep track of where things are at.
U of I adds that campus researchers will monitor testing data. Certain COVID-19 cases will still be handled individually, the school says. And U of I is leaving the door open for all online classes should local health experts recommend that.
Once we get everyone back, it really will be like a big family environment.
U of I's COVID-19 testing lab is expected to be up and running for an extended period of time. Optional testing for faculty and staff is available as well. Taylor Vito, KREM 2 News.
EWU football won't play at Florida in a few weeks. That's because the SEC canceled all non-conference games today. EWU AD Lynn Hickey says they are trying to work out some sort of financial compensation from Florida, and their contract with the Gators is worth $750,000. Sports director Brenna Green has more from her interview with Hickey coming up later in our broadcast.
Well, stricter rules for bars and restaurants go into effect today here in Washington in an effort to slow the spread of coronavirus. That means that both bars and restaurants have to stop selling and serving alcohol at 10 o'clock starting today. So counties in phase 3, we're talking about places like Whitman County, Stevens County, Lincoln County, cannot seat more than 5 people per table, and they all have to be from the same household. Restaurant capacity in phase 3 will be reduced to 50%. Bar seating is outright banned at this point. The rules will not change for counties that are in phase 2, though, like Spokane. It's still 5 people per table here with 50% capacity. Indoor card rooms are also prohibited, and movie theaters, those cannot open until phase 3, when they will only be allowed to open at 25% capacity. Also, starting on August 10th, wedding receptions will be banned. Wedding ceremonies and funerals are going to be severely limited to just 20% capacity indoors or 30 people with proper social distancing. There is some good news tonight for Washington residents who have been waiting for their unemployment benefits. The state believes they are finally getting a grip on that challenge. In a press conference today, Governor Jay Inslee said the backlog for claims that were filed in March and June, those will be cleared by the end of the day tomorrow. Many people have not received their benefits due to identification issues, but the governor says that's now been cleared up.
The job's getting done. The job's getting done because we have hired hundreds of people to do it. We've engaged new technology and new systems, and we want to thank all the people who've been working on it, including the National Guard, who helped clear the identification issue that was troubling so many people.
So Governor Inslee says he hopes the $600 federal benefit will be revisited. He says the unemployment insurance is an investment, not just in the recipients, but a benefit for the entire community. And new coronavirus numbers just coming in for Spokane County tonight, a total of 3,673 cases. That's according to the county health district. Now an increase of 104 just in the last 24 hours. 3 new deaths were also reported today, and 38 people remain hospitalized tonight. If you take a look at this chart, we've seen quite a few higher cases since July. You can see Spokane's curve is just going up. This is the 4th time this month that we have seen increases now in the triple digits. Nearly half of the cases have also been in young adults between the ages of 20 and 39. Well, happening tonight, Spokane Public Schools is hosting a distance learning Zoom meeting. It's to give students as well as parents a chance to understand the issues and have an opportunity to talk about the current online learning options that they are deciding between for fall. Right now, the district's plan is to have a combination of both in-person and online classes. Parents who are uncomfortable with sending their kids to an in-person class will have an option of only distance learning. That webinar is set for tonight at 6:30. If you'd like to go and take a look, the link to that meeting is on our website. Just go to KREM.com. And it became very evident in the spring when they switched to digital learning that some students would thrive in that setting, but a lot of kids didn't have the technology or the internet access that was needed for them to be successful, and it created a divide. So now there is a new campaign in Idaho to provide kids with computers and internet access before school even begins in the fall. The Idaho Business for Education reports 200,000 students need computers. More than 30,000 need internet access. So here's how you can help. Next week on August 5th, you can donate a used laptop or a tablet to any of the North Idaho STCU branches. STCU will take those computers and then help get them refurbished and into the hands of students who need them. You can also text the word DIVIDE to 509-448-2000 and we will send you a link that will walk you through how to make a donation. Virtual learning is likely going to be a huge part of the upcoming school year, and this will absolutely make a difference for our North Idaho students.